Oh, you're going to wait until the other meeting? Okay.
I'll defer that.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting back to order. Let the record reflect that the mayor left after he was excused from executive session. He is no longer in attendance in the meeting. Okay, next item on the agenda is the discussion extending interlocal agreement for IT services with the city of Auburn.
Okay, so in September of 2011, the city entered into an interlocal agreement with the city of Auburn for Information Services Technology. The ILA provided for a 2 one-year contract extensions, and the attached amendment allows for the existing ILA to be extended through December 31st, 2013, and provides for 1 additional extension at the end of that time period. All other terms and conditions of the original interlocal agreement remain in full force and effect. I've attached a copy of the actual, the 2011 agreement that shows scope of services as well as the fees that we pay, which is roughly $3,000 a month for basic IT services, and then if we have special projects or above and beyond the monthly expectations, they charge us an hourly rate, so that is attached to the back of the contract as well. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is this the same amount that we were charged in the previous contract?
Yes, nothing has changed in this contract other than extending it for a 1-year period, because the original, the 2011 contract actually expired December 31st, 2012, but they've been gracious enough to allow us to continue to provide or to work with them until we get the extension done. They were actually waiting for us to get insurance before they decided whether they were going to extend the contract.
So I'm reading, maybe I missed part of it. The highlighted section in the existing contract says the agreement shall terminate on December 31, 2011.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. In the original contract, yes. And then nobody followed through in 2011 to do this 2012 on either side, Auburn or the City of Pacific side. So when I was looking for the contract to figure out what it is they do for us and what they need, I noticed that we were a year out. They also lost their IT director, so they have a new IT director. And everybody in Auburn and myself, when we were talking about it, we all just agreed that we would overlook the fact that we didn't extend in 2012 and get back on track in 2013.
So would this be the last renewal that we have? Or
No, we have one more 1-year renewal. So at the end of 2000, so in November, December, I'll bring back a 1-year extension to expire in 2014, and then in 2014 we'll renegotiate.
Cool.
Any other questions for council?
And you've been happy with their services, right?
As far as I know, everybody's happy with the services, including the police staff.
And we've got access to our website.
I've been putting great things up on the website. I don't have access yet because I talked with Scott, who's our main point of contact, and he wanted to wait until they got a new IT director on board, and then the city wanted to wait until they knew we were going to be a city.
Yeah.
So we have the website that we can convert. They're going to start hosting it, but I had some concerns with what they were proposing. And so I'd like to discuss it a little bit further with the technology committee, which I've already talked to Trent, and we've called a meeting, or he's called a meeting for the 22nd, I think.
And this was budgeted, the whole amount was budgeted, and that's what so much. Any other questions? Council pleasure? All right. Next item on the agenda is discussion additional insurance coverage for the consideration. Our tail coverage, correct?
No.
Oh, the other one.
No, this is not tail coverage. So when CIAW declined to renew and our new broker was going through doing an apples-to-apples comparison, these are 2 more options of potential coverage that she didn't have the opportunity to quote prior, because I told her that our main priority was general liability, property, and auto, and then we could work on the rest of this. So she's already quoted the boiler machinery, which covers Any property built to operate under vacuum or pressure other than weight of contents or used for generation, transmission, or utilization of energy. There's a $2,500 deductible on all coverages combined and $10,000 deductible on deep wells, motor, and pumps, but I don't think we have any deep wells. And this is for a $6,100 annual premium in addition to what's already been approved. And then the employee dishonesty crime coverage, I have the application, but I haven't completed it yet because it's going to require Betty's assistance, and I know that she's really busy right now with this whole conversion for Springbrook, and I didn't want to hit her with it well this week. So if you want to go forward with one or both of these two options, if you could just let me know, and then I can work on getting some quotes and bring them back for council action. Like I said, you already know what the boiler and machinery cost is. It would just be the crime policy.
Questions, council?
Well, not really pertaining to this, did we get the inventory of our,
Staff is working on the vehicle inventory. I have a list of all of the vehicles for Public Works and the Police Department. I just need to, they're working on giving me vehicle costs so that I can add that to, they have to know that before they can finalize that.
okay.
Okay.
So, and then we'll know if it makes a difference on how many vehicles that we are insuring, because one of my concerns is if we have some vehicles that really aren't operating properly, or they should be surplus. I mean, it'd probably be good information, like the 2 police cars, if we surplus those rather than pay for insurance, there's going to be a savings. Okay.
One's being used.
What happened to the truck?
Building inspector, the truck I'm driving.
Yeah, Clint.
Oh,
Clint was.
the other truck. You know what truck I'm talking about.
You're quick.
LP truck or?
No, Roger's old truck, a
He
little
gave
white
it to
truck.
the utility department,
Yeah,
That used to be the building inspector's truck.
yeah,
but he gave it to the utility department,
and that's,
because he couldn't find the truck that I had to.
there's still a van over there in the parking lot
Right.
that's been there forever.
One van works, one doesn't, or something, or
Yeah, there's one
something,
that's a community, senior center truck van that's over there, but it has never been on the road since we got it from the county.
These are some things I think that once we find out, I mean, if there's going to be reduction in cost of insurance, that,
Yeah, it's
Well,
just over there
to
growing.
get them off our inventory.
Well, absolutely. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we have all the vehicles that we are currently using, including the equipment like the grader, I don't know, do we have a grader?
We have backhoes and
Backhoes and things, so that they have all of that.
Right.
And then we do have one police vehicle, correct me if I'm wrong, Ken, that's sitting for surplus.
sitting, yeah.
So that wouldn't necessarily, I mean, that would go on as part of the policy, but once we surplused it, it would come right off. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Okay.
So,
And I plan to stay on top of it, I promise.
On top of that and everything else.
on the boiler and machinery coverage, do we have equipment that would fall into this that isn't in the policy that we just got?
I'm not qualified to answer.
I think it includes your hot water heaters and even probably these guys.
On the
It
boiler
includes the
downstairs, there's a boiler
Oh,
downstairs.
we got a big berth in the basement.
Yeah, there's a big old boiler down there.
The regular insurance would not cover that. This,
Is it the unit itself or the damage that it would cause?
It's from it's for like, say we had a power surge and it exploded,
Yeah.
then it would be covered under that instance. But if it just breaks down because of mechanical failure, then that's on us.
Any other questions? With council pleasure?
I guess we get all of our facts together moving forward.
Okay.
So do you want me to then look at getting a quote on the crime policy?
Well, I'd say that it wouldn't hurt for us to look at everything, we can always say no.
Okay, so do you want me to bring forward the boiler machinery policy because it is 6,100? Or do you want me to hold that until we get the crime policy quote?
Well, was the boiler insured before?
Yes, both of these were part of the CIAW's
Okay,
policy.
then I think we should look at it.
Okay, so I can bring that part forward on the 14th, and then as soon as I get the crime quote, I'll bring that one forward.
Plus we want to make sure that the generator will stay in the building.
It's all city property.
Okay, so we're gonna move forward the boiler machine recoveries and then get information on the crime coverage, correct? Both the crime. Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is council committee assignments. Do you have the list? I don't know if you
This
have.
question out of class,
Yeah.
Oh, did I miss it?
We're on C.
Look at that, I started making a note, moved down. Out of class pay, okay. The reason I brought this up and put it on here is, at our last council meeting, there were some comments made by the mayor regarding he had spoke with, the representative from the Teamsters regarding Ken Barnett's position. And everybody was looking at me, like, what the answer was, and I did not have an answer. So I called Eddie Shannon the next day to find out what the agreement was regarding, or what the discussion was regarding Ken Barnett acting as the building inspector and as the temporary community development public works director. And the agreement was that it was a temporary situation and that he should be receiving out of class pay. And we did not know, I did not know if that was happening, and so I wanted to make sure that that was how it was being set up and that he was getting out of class pay for the temporary assignment of public works director, because they two agreed this was temporary, right?
Right.
Okay, and so I know council had questions, and so I brought that forward. I wanted to make sure everybody understood.
the position as community director, whatever, is not a union position.
Correct, but he is acting as a temporary, so that's why he would get out of class pay.
I was just curious why the union would have anything to say about it.
It's in the union's contract that if a union employee has to serve in a higher position, that's considered out of classification pay, and they get paid, what is it, 10% of that higher salary for the time that they do, and they have to keep track of all of the time for the work that they do in that position. So he's doing a dual role.
Well, I understand what he's doing, but I thought that stipulation meant that if he was in a higher position that was a union position, if he's going into, if he's a position that's outside of the union, why would the union have anything to say about it?
Because he is part of the collective bargaining agreement in his other position.
Okay,
And that's what's happened in the past.
So,
I'm curious why the union now, I don't like them having too much to say about anything.
It's just something you have to renegotiate, put on the list.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out in the staff report that last Wednesday, I believe the mayor met with Eddie Shannon again and had a discussion of paying out of class pay for Ms. Thatch over at the community services for the time that Director Fenwell was out of the office on medical leave. So I threw that in the staff report so that you guys would be aware of it, that Eddie didn't have any issue with giving her that, and Ms. Thatch was asked to provide some form of documentation, though I don't know what that is, to show that she has been performing some of the duties of the community services director. So just so you guys know, that's probably another expense, and there should be some funds for that because Cheryl, and Betty can correct me, is because Cheryl wasn't receiving payment salary at the time, for most of the time that she's been out on that.
Yeah, for most of the time, she's not been paid, but she's received some, but not
Yeah,
much.
but she's been paid some supposedly work from home.
right,
Some,
right.
and not this last pay period at all.
Okay, so how have we kept track of that, and how, I mean, are you only paying her out of class pay for the days that Cheryl did not get paid? Is that
So
what we're
far,
doing?
we haven't gotten any documentation from her, so we'll see what she brings in documentation. It should only be for the time that she's actually doing director work. That's the way it's been done in the past.
Correct.
And there needs to be she should have a memo, and there's a form that has to be filled out for that stipulates what she did and what time she spent doing it.
So hopefully, moving forward, when these types of situations arise, I know that our wonderful city clerk will be right on top of it.
You'll know as soon as I know.
So it just, wow. I guess one of my biggest concerns is making sure that we treat everybody fairly and equally and not open ourselves up to potential litigation. My biggest concern. There's a very high deductible on that end these days. Okay, so, welcome, Doctor. Any other discussion on the out-of-class pay? I know you guys asked questions. I think we even asked Betty at that time, and she didn't know. We asked her if she was getting out-of-class pay, and you responded no at that time, and so we wanted to make sure it got cleared up.
At the last meeting, nobody was getting out of class yet, because we hadn't gotten anything turned in. So
Okay.
we've been, the discussions have been going on and the forms have been flying lately.
Okay. So, any other questions from council?